This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
stands one nation
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting open. Okay, first on the agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes from May 3rd.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are passed. Item B, the electric department has two requests, B and C. We could take them together if you like. And I have Kimball on the line, and he's going to describe the digger truck and the two RAV4s he'd like to purchase. You're on, Kimball.
Okay, so I think everyone's well aware of the digger purchase. There were a few remaining issues that we worked through, and we've come up with a total of $307,011. And as far as I'm concerned, it's ready to be ordered. After order, it will be a year and a half before delivery. And we're up against a price increase next month if we wait. So I think this is the time to do the purchase of the digger, Derek.
Did we get bids?
It's a state contract.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And
So-
also, if you could bring the items, the two RAV4s.
Okay, the two RAV4s, one's to replace my vehicle. The other one is additional vehicle for the department. They would be purchased using the NYPA Municipal Alternative Vehicle Program. And we originally were going to buy them through Sourcewell, but then Jason had found some grant money available, which required us to do a New York State OGS mini bid. And by doing the mini bid, it actually saved us $875 per vehicle, and each vehicle should be eligible for an $1,100 NYSERDA rebate.
Okay. Are there any questions on any of this for Kimball?
Well, can we do it together? When we do the purchase of the, are we gonna vote on like?
You can approve both or make,
the bond?
you make the motion either way.
So-
I think you should do it in two separate motions because they're both expenditures.
Okay. Do they require a roll call?
No,
Okay. Okay, accept the motion then to accept the bid or the approval of the digger truck, the electric department. No more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, then we'll move on to C, the purchase of the two Toyota RAV4 prime vehicles.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, item D is the lease house agreement, or the beach house agreement with the Sports Council. They're looking for an extension, and that's been vetted through Janet. And at this time, we would like to get approval from the board to have me sign the contract with them. Do I hear a motion? So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that?
So you took paragraph 16 out, which was parking.
so I was curious about that, and the explanation of that is that the GASB, the generally accepted accounting principles, have a new ruling that says if you provide parking for your employees, that's an employee benefit. And then it has to be reflected on their W-2s. So we're not giving them or their employees any parking privileges in the lease.
Okay.
I mean, I think it'd be worth about half a cent a day, but still to comply, that's their accountant and auditor's information. And that this rule actually went into play, I think, a year or so ago, but nobody's, they haven't been enforcing it or paying attention to it, but now it's time to.
Okay, thank you.
We have a first and a second, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes as well. Okay, and then item E, we have a retirement from the electric department, and I'll read this. It says, I'm very appreciative to have had the pleasure to work for the village, Lake Placid Village Electric Department for all these years. As of June 26, 2021, I will be initiating my New York State retirement. It's truly been a pleasure, and I wish the team the best. Sincerely, Tony Blair. So at this point, I would need a recommendation to accept the resignation of Tony Blair.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? We've tried to not let people retire by not approving it, but it doesn't work. We're all going to miss the experience he's brought. He's been with us for 27 years. But we do wish him well. So at this point, all in favor? Aye. Mayor's aye as well. Motion passes as well. Okay, and then the item F is for an account clerk hire, and there have been many interviews and many applicants. And would you like to say a few words on that?
Sure. We had upwards of 9 total applications that came in. We interviewed 6 of those 9, because 3 of them were done via Facebook and were actual applications. We did interview everybody that came in, and we had 3 very, very strong applicants that we brought back for second interviews. They all had the ability to do the job, but we had to find somebody who fit all the quirks of it as well. And I'm happy to say that I put in the recommendation to hire Heather Hayhurst. She will be leaving Dr. Carol's office, but she is looking forward to coming here to work. She's very excited about joining our retirement system and working at the billing office, and I think she'll be a really good fit.
The only things I would add to that was I sat in for the final 3, and like you said, all 3 were very good candidates, but Heather did come to the top. I think we do need to mention that she'll be starting at $18.50. Did you
Yeah.
mention that?
$18.50 an hour.
Okay.
And I think pursuant to our hiring plan, it's 6 months provisional, and also with regard to this position, I think she has to, at some point, when they have the test, pass the civil service exam.
Yeah, both of our new account clerks will have to. Unfortunately, right after we hired the first one, COVID hit and they stopped giving the test, and we're still in that situation. So they'll both have to take it.
Right, but and we do know that any hire is 6 months provisional.
Yes.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion to accept approve the appointment of Heather Hayhurst?
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And item G is the electric department BOCES work study. Kimball, can we call upon you again to describe that?
Certainly. So we had one request for a student from the BOCES Natural Resources Program to spend a couple weeks with us, and it's Skylar Jordan. It would be 4 days a week for about 3 hours a day, May 17th through June 9th. And we've had in the past, we only had one. Troy Jakes did the program. We had others spend a couple days, but they were under the highway department more than us. So I think it gives the students at the program a good real life look at everyday operations of a facility. So I think it would be great for us and great for the student.
Thank you very much. And it's probably noteworthy to mention that we've done this in the past and actually hired people from this program, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the BOCES work study?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes as well. Item H is something we did last year. I don't know if the two new, yeah, okay, you're familiar with that. It was a program that worked out very well last year, and they're asking to do it again. Entertain a motion to accept the information station as part. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes as well.
On some of the questions.
Item I was a request from the Harley Davidson Group to have a parade around Mirror Lake. It's been vetted through a workshop and with Bill Moore. And at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the rally around Mirror Lake on August 28th.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
So under discussion, I think maybe I was more caught up with Boston Ironman. What were the numbers that they were anticipating?
50. It was small.
It was a small one.
It was, yeah, it was real 40 to 50 bikes.
Okay. Yeah, I was like so caught up with the other, I was just like, hog rally, I'm like, what, I can only process
Comes
so
up
much.
here anyways.
What's that?
I think that's the normal amount that generally comes up here anyways.
Yeah, we get that.
I suppose if you don't approve them riding around the lake, they'll just get together and ride around the lake.
I just have a feeling that might be just the case.
At least this way we have the police to monitor what's going on. So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So passes. And item J, I don't know if you're both familiar with what has been done in the past. I believe it was a high school senior project.
That's right.
And it turned out to be a very good one. And they did start a trend that I hope continues in the future. It's the hanging of flags of past veterans in the area at Memorial Day. So that's what this motion's for. And that'll be from May 24th to June 4th. So I would accept a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And Anita, at this time, is there anything else to come before us from the?
There's one more item that I believe you all covered in your work session, but didn't make it onto the agenda. Bill Billerman is on in case there's any discussion, but it's a request for us to approve the Watershed Association, the Mirror Lake Watershed Association entering into a contract with the Adirondack Watershed Institute for a steward on Mirror Lake.
Are any of you familiar with that? That was the one where they received the LEAF money to do a stewardship. It's very much like the one at the state boat launch.
Oh.
They don't have the authority to stop a boat, but they do it. It's their job to inform the people that they could be bringing aquatic species in. And they're going to be setting up somewhere along the tennis court fence line and watch for people and then come up and explain what's going on.
And just to kind of refresh my memory, they're talking about kayaks, canoes, stand-up paddleboards, so on and so forth. Because those are very mobile and the lake is kind of
Yeah.
shallow. Okay.
Any more questions on that?
So I'd just like to clarify that we are not approving the Mirror Lake Watershed entering into the agreement with the Adirondack people. We are approving the use of the Village Beach property at that canoe, kayak, boat launch for them to provide a table for the steward to work from. The grant and the agreement are not between the village and anybody. It's between the Mirror Lake Watershed and LEAF, and they'd be entering into an agreement with Bill will correct me. I'm not sure whether it's ASRA or what, but just so everybody's clear, we would just be giving permission for them to use that space.
Anything you want to add on that, Bill? Is he with us?
He is. You need to unmute yourself, Bill.
There he is.
The contract is between the Mirror Lake Watershed Association and the Adirondack Watershed Institute, and we will be providing the funds for that. And basically, it's for permission to have the steward there on Saturdays and Sundays, 10 hours a day through the summer and into the end of September. So the village is not in the contract with it. We're just seeking permission to have them there.
Okay, great. Any further questions? Anyone like to make a motion to
I'll make the motion.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much, Bill, for your continued watchdog over our lakes and streams.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else in the?
No, that is all.
Okay, moving into treasury items, it's the approval of the warrants. I believe Jackie has reviewed those. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept warrant number 19.
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, and item B is utility customer notifications, and I'm going to let Mindy describe what that is.
So the state has come out with another law. Or
Thank you for that.
modification on the utility termination moratorium law that was put out last year. Part of that modification is we are now no longer allowed to re-levy water accounts that are unpaid. We generally re-levy twice a year. Sewer is still allowed, just not water. So we generally re-levy onto our tax bills. So we would do that in June for our August 1st tax bills. And then we also re-levy in the town on their tax bills we send them to the county in October, late October. So going forward, we will still be re-levying sewer accounts, just not water accounts for the time being. This is in effect until December 31st of this year or until the state of emergency is lifted, whichever is sooner. There are a couple of requirements that have changed with not only this, but the electric accounts as well. So we still can't shut off electric accounts, nor can we penalize for electric accounts if, here's the big if they show that they have financial hardship due to COVID. So we can't shut them off, period. But we can start penalizing as of June 1st. We're actually going to do it July 1st. So people have enough time. But to allow people time to come to terms with this, because this is a new thing. This should have been in everyone's packet, but I came up with a flyer. It's actually going to be a double-sided flyer that will go out prior to billing. That just allows people it gives people the information that we won't be re-levying their water bills, because a lot of businesses and people don't pay their bill. They just wait for it to go onto their taxes and then their escrow pays it. There's also notification in here that we will be starting to penalize people for not paying their electric bill. Going forward, if they have a financial hardship and they'd like to prove it by bringing in, termination slip or whatever, we don't have a problem waiving those at that point. But we are requesting, if you want your late charges to be waived, you have to come in and sign up for a deferred payment agreement, which is what the law states. I'll go over that during a work session because there's a couple of things we need to tweak on it based upon our certain circumstances. But this at least will go out prior to the next billing, just to give people the information, let them know that, hey, you still got to pay your bill. Otherwise, we're going to have some really big balances.
And the next billing that goes out is what date?
The next electric bill that goes out will be June 1st. We will send these out prior to that.
Okay,
For
so
water.
we'll have time to in our workshop to work out the fine details.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have a copy of the deferred payment agreement. If anybody wants to see it ahead of time, I might have emailed it out to everybody. I don't know if I did or not. That just kind of goes over the basics. I got it from Messina Electric. They've been doing them, and they're going to be doing them going forward even more so. But this allows people not to have to pay the late fees and kind of catch up on their bills. We have a very large outstanding AR right now in electric, and it's only going to grow now with water and sewer. So fun budget time for me. Yeah.
Great timing, huh?
Oh, it's just wonderful, 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 wonderful.
It's like being a district tech coordinator when everything goes remote.
Yeah.
Anita, you'll make a note to put that on our workshop. I think we already talked about that.
But if anyone has any questions about it or wants me to change anything or whatever, I literally got the information from the attorney at NICOM and tried to make something up as fast as possible so that we could get it out before June.
Anybody have any questions for Mindy? Okay, and if you do have any comments or suggestions, obviously get a hold of Mindy and let her know. And at this point, then I would entertain a motion to approve the utility customer notification.
Second.
All in
Art, I
favor?
think you might want to wait till the final is ready to approve it.
Well, Janet, I'm gonna send you a copy of what I have, to make sure I didn't make any legality errors. But it's pretty basic. I just took what was on the law and put it on a piece of paper.
That's fine, and I think it has to be clear that doesn't mean people don't have to pay, but
No.
just as meaning it will not show up on their tax bills, because I think like with the rental, lack of ability to be able to evict some people, I think there's misunderstanding. Some tenants think they don't have to pay.
Mhm.
Do we
But,
need-
and this, I don't know that it needs a motion, Mayor, because this is mandatory. We have no choice.
Very good. Makes it easier. Okay, then that was the notification. Okay, is there anything else to come before us from the treasurer?
No.
Okay, is there any new business to come before the board? Any old business to come before the board? Under mayor items, I just have 2 items. One is a travel advisory that was sent out. It's for watch for daytime and nighttime alternating lane closures on Route 86 between Lake Placid and Saranac Lake. I believe they started today.
They were supposed to, but when I came in, they hadn't.
When I came down from Saranac Lake, they were starting.
Okay, if you remember last year, there was a structural work done on Saranac Avenue in preparation for this blacktopping. It's going to be roughly a 6.9 mile stretch on Route 86. We resurfacing of the road. I believe it goes from, is it by Balistrini's, which is Elm Streets,
So that's what I thought.
all the way over to the train tracks in Saranac Lake, near Turtle Pond. And my understanding is that the road work will take place during the day on the portion from Elm Street to Price Chopper, and then at night from Price Chopper over to the train tracks. And there will be times where I'm reading from the report that there'll be single lanes or shutdowns for momentary shutdowns. And motorists should watch for alternating lane closures and crew returning to work after Labor Day to finish the work, which you completed this fall. And I'll give this to Anita. We can put this on our website. If anyone has any questions or concerns, you can go there and read the full report.
Just add an extra half hour, 45 minutes on to your trip.
Well, you know, we
To Saranac Lake.
before all is said and done, I think we counted up, there'll be 12 construction projects going on for the next 2 years here. It is a hardship, but boy, the other side of the coin is we're lucky to get all the projects done that we're getting done.
I agree.
And they'll all be done at once, so we won't see anybody for a while, hopefully.
It's kind of like the air conditioner is just clanking for years, and then all of a sudden it'll just stop and we'll enjoy the sun.
Mhm.
Do we think there's any more excavators left in the state?
I lost count just going around it. Just about,
Untouched now.
Okay, then the other thing to
Could
come
we
up with,
approve an excavator to a rally?
There,
Touch a truck.
actually, I guess I should mention, that I did get an email in the LPBA box, and they're saying, 'cause people are scared to come downtown and that sort of thing. If there was any way we could organize a touch a truck, like on weekends, since the excavators are there, I don't know if there's.
We
been
can talk to Brad about that.
Yeah.
There we go. Ben loves it.
You can drive down Main Street during the day and stick your hand out the window and almost touch one anyway.
More than one.
Yeah.
And they're all of different sizes too.
Mhm.
Okay, and then another final item to come up under mayor items is Nita pulled out the board minutes from July 20 of 2020, where the village approved the running of the Ironman with the caveat that they follow any COVID standards at the time. And over the last 2 weeks, the county, Roost, village, town, Ironman, and Lacrosse had many meetings to ensure both events are in compliance with state and county standards and to meet village and town requirements. Two of the big requirements that we put in place were that at least a 20% reduction in their fields and a proof of vaccination in order to attend the events. Ironman, I have the Ironman plan here, and I won't read the entire plan, but I'll read you some of the highlights. They're going to be eliminating the welcome ceremony, the Iron Kids race, the post-race awards, the championship roll down ceremony, on-site resignation or registration for 2022. The bike rack density will be reduced. Changing tents will be eliminated. Athletes' bags and changing will happen at the bike area. Elimination of many volunteer groups to reduce contact points, which is body marking, wetsuit peelers, changing tents, bike handlers, and sunscreen team. And I believe the finish line assists will drop from 75 to 50. Swim start format change to a lineup on Mirror Lake Drive. In the past, the athletes would congregate in a large crowd on the beach, and this will be reducing the standard crowd on the beach swimming, entering the water, and be spaced out along Mirror Lake Drive for about 1/3 of a mile, keeping social distance. Vaccination screening of athletes, volunteers, staff prior to check-in, upon entry to merchandise, athletes village, volunteer tent, staff meeting area. A specialized wristband will be applied to all those who present verification of COVID-19 vaccination or Excelsior Pass or a vaccination card. That will be required along with proof of vaccination. Further requirements are start area will be barricaded from the Mirror Lake tennis courts to the beach house, and the beach house and toboggan slide areas entry points. The finished venue will consist of dual lanes for athletes. Once they cross the finish line, they will be directed to tables, which will be self-serve stations for athlete pickup of medals, finishing gear, hats, shirts. Volunteers will restock tables and not provide individual handoff of gear. After finishing area, athletes will proceed to finish food station for self-pickup of prepackaged food and drink. There will be no tables for congregation, and athletes will be directed to keep moving through the area, and masks will be provided at the finish. The town has a similar plan with Lacrosse. And at this point, the village and town will continue to work with both organizations leading up to the event and stay on top of any and all changes brought by the state and the county. And at this point, I don't know if any of the board members would like to add anything more to that.
I've been polling individuals and they seem split. And I try to separate those who generally don't like Ironman or have Ironman exhaustion from COVID and whatnot. The concern is bringing people in, and it seems like what you read, spectators, the COVID, the Excelsior Pass seems to cover a lot of that. A lot of questions that I couldn't answer is what would happen if things started to regress? The community, like the county and our community, the COVID situation regresses instead of progresses like it's been. What are we going to do as a village board? What can we do for that?
We're always at the mercy of the state and the county. And at any point, if things did turn around, instead of things loosening up, all of a sudden a new strain, we'll say out of India came along, we'll follow the state and county guidelines just like we did last year. So this is by no means a guarantee they're coming. We're still at the beck and call of the state and the county for their recommendation on what should be, shouldn't be done. And at this point, Ironman and Lacrosse are meeting both those requirements.
Yeah.
But if things go bad, due to their recommendations, they shut it down, they'll be the ones to shut us down.
And would we, would we be an advocate to shut it down if it seems like the county seems to be a little lax? Let's just say as the board as a whole, let's say the majority of the board as a whole feels county should probably be a little bit more aggressive.
Well, we actually are more aggressive than the county is right now. Some of our requirements are not required by the county. We've been more aggressive than they have been. And I think the answer to that is it's hard to do a proposal. I guess we just have to take that, see what happens at the time. But yeah, if the village doesn't feel safe, we have the ability to stop the race.
Okay.
But at this point, with everything that's happening and all the mask requirements easing and where direction things are headed, and they're complying with the county and the state, in my opinion, we should be backing both events.
All right, and I think people hearing that would feel much more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're not taking this lightly. Like I said, I didn't do much else for this meeting, but it seems prepared. For 2 weeks, it seems like we've been very involved with this.
Mhm. Yeah, just, and I'll communicate that with the public at large that we are trending in the right direction. The county and the state are on board. But the village board has been more stringent and plans to approach it that way if it seems as a community as a whole and as the board, the majority board feels that this is where we need to go. I think they'll be comforted knowing that we're not going to just automatically defer it to the county or state.
And I'd also add too, this is going to be a model for other races. I mean, that's the thing that's been coming up again and again. There's no other Ironman race in North America right now that requires vaccinations. So I think it's.
What did they do out in Hawaii, do you know? Obviously they couldn't because there was no vaccination passes.
Well, they didn't have a race this year in Hawaii.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the very first Ironman since the pandemic then?
No, there was one down in Florida.
Okay, when was that? Roughly last year, this year?
This year.
Yeah.
It was this year, probably like 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
And there's a couple more scheduled. I think there's one before our race, but they're not requiring vaccination.
Like you say, this could become the model future events. And also, I should give Bill Moore a lot of credit. He was very helpful. I mean, he has to provide security for all these events. And he put a lot of work in on this along with us. A lot of times his work goes unnoticed. Okay, I think at this point then, unless someone else has any more comments, any commissioner reports?
Mayor, can I make a
Sure.
question? You know, in the past, the participants' families have set up a lot of, I call them pop-up tents on village property where
Yes.
they spend the day waiting for their athlete to come by. Has the board may want to consider what if any restrictions there will be with regard to that?
So, it says spectators will be limited to areas outside the swim start, finish your shoot, and separated by barricades, monitored by staff, volunteers. But I guess that's what Ironman can do. But I guess what Janet's mentioning about we can do to.
Right, and the start is going to be along Mirror Lake Drive, so no one should be allowed in that area unless they.
I think that's a good point, Janet. The board should explore what we should do to decrease density in those sort of areas.
Yeah, I don't have any personal opinion, but that is village property and you may want to consider what you want to allow or not allow there.
Okay. I will, I'll bet that with Bill Moore. Did anyone have any comments on that?
No, and it's not, where a lot of the tents are set up, it sounds like it's gonna be blocked off based on Ironman's plan anyway.
It does.
So I think that's,
So that
it's gonna
way,
be hard to police every, of the 140.6 miles, it's gonna be hard to police every single mile of that. There's certainly gonna be outliers out there, but.
Well, I think that the determination was like you say, the big areas of the start and the finish, and those are going to be taken care of in the bike area.
and with I guess, if you overlay the map of what Ironman is going to address and see where our challenge areas are, we could be very surgical and, precise about what we can do about specific areas.
Right.
Okay, are there any commissioner reports? One only needs to drive up Main Street to get your biggest commissioner report, I suppose.
Yeah.
He's, so they're pulling out the Nazarene church wall today. That's quite a
Yes.
operation.
I'll have to go.
Can't imagine what they're gonna find in the ground in there.
Well, the sewer line goes up through there, so.
That bulldozer was pretty cute.
I don't see any old photos of it being a cemetery at one time. They just rolled it over with grass.
Don't even say that.
An Indian burial.
Yeah.
Okay, unless there is anything else to come before the board tonight, we'll open this up to the public and the press. Does anybody have any comments?
There's questions in the chat box.
Yeah, they all seem to be about Iron Man. I think we addressed them all.
Yeah, and just a couple comments.
I had a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Were you guys on considering whether or not or how you would regulate marijuana use and the issuing permits to businesses for on-site consumption?
Yeah, taking that in two different parts, we have the first part, we're still working on that with our legal counsel to draft something to ban, I think we're all in agreement on the board, ban it from public areas in the village. But we need to finish that with our legal counsel. And then the second part is the sale, and we have until the end of the year to make that decision. And New York Conference of Mayors has been doing a lot of seminars to educate us on the do's and don'ts of that. And we also have a NICOM convention coming up in June that we'll be going to. So we're holding off a decision on that until afterwards. But we do intend to have something to prevent the smoking in public places before that.
We're not enforcing it yet though, right?
We don't have any, that's right.
So, Mayor, I apologize. but-
No, go ahead.
To put it into context that a lot of people would understand, we're hoping to potentially mirror the open container law. So if you're unable to drink an alcoholic beverage in a certain particular area, same would go with cannabis in a public area. And that seems like to be the kind of baseline of where we're going. And there hasn't been, I think, even discussion about sale because there's a lot of other sub components of that.
We have time, and that's a decision we'll have to make.
The smoking ban will go for cigarettes and marijuana though, right?
And vaping.
Or vaping.
You can't discriminate against any one of those three, so it'll have to be for all three: vaping, cigarettes, and marijuana. And we're looking for, I know there's a webinar coming up, is it June 1st, to discuss this with directly with NICOM.
Yes.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question, Elizabeth?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And Elizabeth, I did prepare a statement for the press that I'll send you on the Ironman and lacrosse.
Okay. Can you, would you also be able to send me the plan that you were looking at from Ironman that they sent you?
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Going once?
Somebody
There's a
just
question
asked,
in the chat. Mayor, there's a question in the chat.
Can anyone read it?
Yeah, does the village have a plan to safely accommodate Ironman with the current construction at the speed skating oval? And I guess Ironman is actually the one who has that plan, not
They're not using the speed skating oval. The transition zone will be at Northwood. And the Ironman Village, which used to be in the municipal parking lot, will be at the horse show grounds. And the finish for the Ironman will be on the main street in front of the oval. I don't know if that answers the question fully, but
Has Ironman put out to the community the redrawn, and maybe that's something we could ask them to do to get a better grasp of the event. Not in addition, you said the 20% reduction. Did you mention that when you read
Yeah.
Okay.
At least 20%. I believe Ironman's going to be much more than 20%.
So just circling back, yeah, maybe we can reach out to Ironman.
I don't want to speak for Ironman, but I believe their international people won't be coming. The Canadians can't come across the border, and I believe their event's probably going to be somewhere reduced by at least a third. Every Iron person, my understanding is, has the ability to defer their entry fee to the following year if they choose.
Okay.
And they're not, to my knowledge, not accepting any new athletes. They're anticipating somewhere maybe between 1,800 and 2,400 at the highest.
And then just for that question, yeah, I've read the plan and it's easier to visualize if they had some sort of graphic to show what the new route would look like.
And I think the most interesting thing from an Ironman's perspective, I've done the race a few times myself,
Just
is coming out of the water at Northwood Beach and going up the, Northwood Drive to the school, will definitely be certainly a change. It'll be interesting to see how they pull that off. But Craig seemed to think they were in no trouble rerouting the course based on the construction.
That is one thing we have had is the swim now will start at the beach where it always did, obviously coming off Mirror Lake Drive, like I mentioned. And it'll be a triangular course for the first lap. And then the second lap will take you to the end of the lake where you'll get out of the Northwood Beach and go over to Northwood to the transition area. And those are the details that I know of. I believe other than that, the bike route will be the same and the run will be the same. Any other questions? I envy Mark's eyes. Can you see if anything else is?
No, nothing else.
No.
Okay. With that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Did you guys speak quiet to see if you're alternating back and forth? Because I thought you were just.